Otherwise, I'd have to bring you down to earth too. I know this verse hurts you. I tell you what, I give you advice. I'm feeling nice. Your vices could influence your writing if you weren't biting. Y'all trying to be people that.
So WWE, out of nowhere, completely out of the blue, decided to release Bray Wyatt. And what is probably, I mean, if you thought them firing Samoa Joe was shocking, if you thought them firing Braun Strowman was shocking, if you thought them firing Aleister Black was shocking, this is the most shocking one yet. I mean, it is absolutely absurd that they will fire Bray Wyatt. It is absurd. Okay, I don't even understand this. This one is unlike all the others. Bray Wyatt was an actual draw. He actually sold merchandise. He was an actual star that they actually made from scratch. He was incredibly creative. You know, he had everything that they really wanted. He wasn't a work rate guy. That wasn't even important. He seemed to have the right ideas for television and doing all of these great and awesome things. And like out of nowhere, it's poof, it's gone. So we do know that Bray Wyatt took the death of Brody Lee, a very close friend of his. He took it really bad. And he's made sporadic appearances since the death of Brody Lee. His last appearance, of course, was at, I think, the day after WrestleMania, where he was betrayed by Alexa Bliss. And he appeared on the Firefly Funhouse, I think, that Monday. And he hasn't been on TV since. He also had not done a decent job of even mentioning him. But Bray Wyatt is a guy who you would have thought he would have been a lifer. You know, he was somebody that they pretty much trained from scratch. And almost his entire career, everything he's ever done has been in WWE. So it is a deep, visceral surprise that Bray Wyatt was released. And I really want to understand why. But I think it's probably got something to do with some outside the ring stuff that he's got going on. The disappearing acts that he pulled in 2019, probably to get in shape. And then after the death of Brody Lee, he was also gone for a long time, I believe a year or so before, when he was dealing with the whole thing with his wife and, him transitioning to being a parent for a new child in a different relationship and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of outside the ring stuff going on with Bray Wyatt, but I'm just still surprised that he hasn't been on the roster, and that, he's a guy who, like I said, is a money maker for them. He was legitimately a money maker. So why they would get rid of him tells me that it's probably either something he wanted or something that was absolutely necessary for both parties. And that's the only thing I can think of. I don't think it's ye old budget cuts and all that kind of stuff, because they could have definitely sold Fiend merchandise and Fiend gear and Wyatt t-shirts and stuff like that. But he wasn't done doing what he was doing. So just like the Aleister Black situation, where they basically cut the legs out from underneath and right in the middle of the story, there were still some dangling plot lines there for him and the Fiend that he never really got around to. So I am really concerned. Not just about, what is WWE doing? I'm really concerned about the guy. A lot of his Instagrams and tweets and stuff like that have been really cryptic over the last several years. It's been weird. So I hope he's okay. So now, after I put that out there, Wyatt had an incredible run from 2012 to currently. So he's been on the roster several years now, as the member of the Wyatt family as a whole unit for 2 or 3 years. And then as a solo for a couple of years. I mean, he was off, during the whole Matt Hardy stuff. He wasn't quite where he should have been. He was, I could break that down, but that would be like a different archetype type of video. He was really off his game then. And then he started, really bringing it back when it came to the Fiend and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed a lot of the stuff that he did. Again, he was really creative. He was willing to take things out there. Some of the magic stuff was a little too much. But I did love his feud with John Cena. I loved the stuff with the Shield. I thought the stuff that he was going to have, where Brock was going to have some potential. Of course, they didn't go through with that. But the tease was amazing. And, where they had, Brock at the Royal Rumble getting jumped by the Wyatt family. I thought that was really cool. I think they could have had some really has some really cool stories to tell between Bray Wyatt and Brock. But Bray had a run with everybody, man. He had a run with Roman. He had a run with Cena. He had a run with Randy. He had a run with Seth. He just had a good run with just about everybody. And it didn't always go the way that, other people think it should have went. But I think his performances were almost always on point. Even if the matches were, but he's awesome. He's awesome. Like, as far as characters, he reminds me, as if, WWF would have fired Mick Foley in like 2000. Like, there was still something left in him. I mean, Mick Foley's a little bit older, I think, than Wyatt is now. Wyatt is still a pretty young guy. I don't even know if he's 35 yet. So he's had a pretty good run. Actually started out pretty young. So I'm definitely surprised. And he is, I think, the modern Mick Foley for this generation, as far as being able to play a character actor and to be able to do so many different characters and have so many different layers to these characters. It was ingenious stuff. Now, of course, this thing became very negative very fast. I saw Mickey James say that, to shorten it, I'm not going to read the whole thing. Basically, that they stole his gimmick and gave it to Alexa Bliss and then fired him. What we don't know is what that was supposed to be. Again, that's why I hate, dangling plot lines. We don't know what was supposed to happen here. Were they supposed to go to war over the power and then he was going to eventually take it back, which is what I thought was going to happen, is that he was going to eventually take his power back from her. I don't know. But the Alexa Bliss thing, which, she was pretty surprised at his release as well. I think, if we want to be honest, I think that the Alexa Bliss idea didn't come from Bray Wyatt. I think it came from Liv Morgan. For people who don't know, the Liv Morgan had an idea to be a sort of sad witch type character. And she had pitched that before they did they took her off TV that whole time when they were trying to debut the new Liv Morgan. That was her original idea, is that she wanted to be sort of a witch. And then they re-debuted her as, I don't know what the hell that was. But shortly thereafter, of course there was a pandemic and everything, they transitioned all of that witch stuff to Alexa Bliss. So I think that's where it came from. But I really am interested in knowing where did we go wrong here with Bray Wyatt. And I think it's mostly something to do with him personally as an individual. And not, WWE doesn't know what to do with him. I just think it's an issue of his outside the ring life, and it's always been that way with him. For the last several years, there's been some outside the ring stuff that has kind of really distracted him. But he's a phenomenal dude. He seems to have a lot of crazy ideas, seems pretty smart. Hopefully he'll get a chance to come back. I know Tony Khan will back up the Brinks truck to get him and keep him away. So who knows? It'll be very interesting to see how this turns out. But this one sucks to me. This one sucks as bad as the Samoa Joe one. This sucked. I really want to know the ins and outs of this one and what's up with these releases and the releasing of talent that makes money. It's not just the releasing of regular ass wrestlers. This is somebody who legitimately they made a lot of merchandise for, and it seemed like they were making their money back, and now he's gone. So that's a very, very, very odd situation. Of course, it's doubly odd considering Vince McMahon in the conference call says that, that he didn't know what AEW's investment in their talent was, but surely they can give him some more. And, literally like 2 days later, Bray Wyatt is released. What is going on? It seems almost as if they're not stupid enough to sabotage their own promotion, but there seems to be something that is amiss in Stanford. And, even if it was, hey, this guy needs to take some time off for mental strife and struggles, you got to just let it go. You got to let it go. But I thought Bray was on his way back, personally. Because Sasha Banks had came back, had been gone since WrestleMania, and then it just felt right that they were going to reintroduce a lot of the people who were stars They were just going to reintroduce them, like they reintroduced Cena, and they're going to reintroduce Finn, they're going to reintroduce Sasha, and then Bray Wyatt would come back. But I don't know what's going on, man. I'm at a loss. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, sponsor the channel via Subscribestar or Cash App. And I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They distort, so question as if you